right?
Yeah, he becomes a gatekeeper.
Yeah. So Max really, really needs this fight. He has all these tools. His striking, his length, he can knock people out. He can wrestle. I just love Max Holloway.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
what about the boxing crispness of Calvin Kattar?
He's a minus 170 favorite right now. So Vegas is with me.
Wow. I guess that doesn't surprise me. A minus 170 favorite for Max Holloway, former champ.
So Max has 2 losses in fights that I watched and thought he won.
That is true.
And that has to piss him off.
Yeah.
Because the reason he's in this position where he could become a gatekeeper is because the judges kind of screwed him twice. The one time I could kind of get, it was, was it in Australia?
With Volkanovski?
Yeah, and so the judges were from there, and but then the last fight, I thought he really kind of dominated.
I thought he did
I was
too.
like, where did this decision come from?
Yeah, I thought he did too. I thought he kept the pace. He did what he needed to do when it comes to fighting
Push forward the whole fight.
Yeah, and I mean his only loss before that, before he went on an amazing streak, was Dustin Poirier.
Oh, Dustin. Yeah.
Which I mean. He beat Frankie Edgar in decision. He's had a lot of decisions lately. Obviously, the last knockout that Max Holloway had was Brian Ortega, which that was, I mean, you want to talk about the student learning from the teacher. During the fight, he's grabbing Brian Ortega's arm and telling him, no, you got to pivot this way and it's like.
Well, that's the one thing I have wondered in his last few fights. Has he lost some power?
Yeah.
Because he isn't finishing guys.
Yeah.
Even though he's landing a lot of strikes.
That is true.
Or is he not throwing? Guys will pace themselves. They won't throw it as hard as they can throw a shot because they know they got to go 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And these 5-round fights, I mean, Max hasn't been knocking people out.
Yeah.
But he's been landing a lot.
The last string of knockouts that he had was Anthony Pettis, then Jose Aldo twice, then Brian Ortega. Here's my prediction. I'm going to go with the upset. I really am. I think Calvin Kattar is the fresher fighter in the sense that, sure, he doesn't necessarily have the the big record of 21-6, but he is 22-4, 11 by knockout, 2 by submission, 9 by decision. I think it's going to be a very close fight. I don't see this fight going to decision though. Either way, would you agree with that?
I hope not, because I hope Max knocks him out.
Really? How dare you? No, I think it's a good pick.
Yeah.
I mean, picking Max is always the safe bet when it comes to. I mean, the guy's a former champion. He's a dedicated fighter. He is one of those. He
learned how to fight playing video games.
That is true too.
I give him a lot of props for that.
Yeah, I think that Calvin Kattar is in. This is the toughest and biggest fight of his life, hands down. I mean, sure, he got a win over Jeremy Stephens. He did lose to Zambit, he lost to Monicano. But he does have wins over Ricardo Lamas, 50K Danny Inge, and that TKO victory over Jeremy Stephens. I think it's going to be. This to me has potential early in the year. I know it's only January.
If Max loses again by another close decision, he will be broken.
Oh, yeah. He'll be absolutely broken. Yeah. I think Max has a chin. I mean, Max definitely has a chin. He's never been knocked out. He's been submitted once, and he's lost 5 to decision.
Yeah.
Max has a chin. He's long. He's lengthy.
I don't think he's going to let that decision thing happen again.
I think you've got a good point. I think when it comes down to it, this has potential to be the fight of the year. I know it's early, okay? It's only January. But you're putting up 2 of the best featherweights in the division going against each other. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that. Looking at the next card coming up, the headline, Neil Magny and Michael Chiesa. Now, this fight was moved up due to Khamzat Chimaev pulling out due to some COVID-19 lung issues. Leon Edwards they had to pull it out. Now, Khamzat has it. He had to pull out. So they moved the co-main event up to the main event. And honestly, I'm not mad at it. It's a great fight in the welterweight division.
Neil Magny is a slight favorite on my app.
Yeah.
but barely.
Really? What are the numbers?
He's a minus 125 favorite.
Oh, so that's pretty close.
And Chiesa's a minus 105.
That's almost a pick'em.
So it's almost a pick'em.
Yeah. Who do you got? I mean,
under 2.
Neil Magny is 24-8. Chiesa's 17-4.
I like Michael Chiesa.
Really?
I'm going underdog in this one, even though he's not really an underdog.
Yeah. That's somewhat surprising. I mean, they both got active fight streaks. They're both on 3-fight win streaks. Here's the thing. Neil Magny hasn't fought since August 29th, 2020. Looking at Chiesa hasn't fought in almost a year. It'll actually be...
Wait, who was his last fight?
Chiesa's last fight was against RDA. Neil Magny's last fight was against Robbie Lawler.
That,
you know what?
The odds makers are probably doing their job well.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, I mean, Chiesa beat RDA in decision.
Yeah.
That's a tough fight. Like, that is a super tough fight. You witnessed what RDA can do against Paul Felder, which that fight was a lot closer than what...
Yeah, in a Robbie Lawler victory, I just don't know how much stock I put in a Robbie Lawler victory.
It doesn't mean that much anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
3 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God,
Yeah.
beat Robbie Lawler. But
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah. So
Even
you've
a
got,
year ago?
You know what? I like your Chiesa pick. Now that I look at the records a little bit more in depth, Chiesa's got a win over RDA. He's got a win over Diego Sanchez and Carlos Condit, which it's similar though. They're
Yeah.
both fighting veterans and they're pulling through and getting the decisions, but it's like, that's who you fought. Like, yeah, it's a victory, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, how big of a victory is it? Now, Neil Magny, to me, this could be almost similar to the Jeff Neal effect, to where it's like, you've got a fighter that's got quite a bit of stock built up in him, and then he fights someone with a little bit more, not necessarily experience, but knowing what to do in the octagon. You got to kind of look at Chiesa like, is he the more experienced fighter when you look at this matchup?
that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm not sticking my neck out. I'm not betting the house on either fighter there.
But I think you doing a Chiesa pick is a good pick just because Neil Magny does have 4 losses via submission. Chiesa is a demon on the ground. I mean, he's
if he can stay away from that.
Yeah. So that's going to be a great fight. And then, of course, January 23rd, we can't not talk about this. We'll obviously go into more depth in the card as it gets closer. But Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier 2. What are your thoughts?
Conor is already a heavy favorite in Las Vegas.
Like how heavy?
I was afraid you were going to ask that.
Really? That heavy of a favorite?
I want to say, oh boy.
Let me see if I can pull it up over here too. That, of course, happening on Abu Dhabi Fight Island. That ends the triple header for
so
the
Conor
weekend.
is a minus 270 favorite.
Wow.
Yeah. I like Dustin all day long. I would bet that right now. I
This is
might
why
put
you're
my
on the
bet
show.
in right now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, unless the fight gets canceled and somebody else has to step in for Dustin because he gets COVID or something crazy between now and then, I just think he is peaking right now at this point in his career. He is the guy that gave Khabib's hardest fight by far.
Yeah.
I mean, he almost had him.
Yeah, with that guillotine.
He did, yeah.
I don't know
slipped
how
out of
he
it.
did not tap.
I don't know how he didn't tap it. I mean, other than maybe he was just squeezing his head and he didn't get it kind of around in an area to choke him. But, somehow, and I think that burned out Dustin. I think Dustin was doing fine in that fight.
His arms went flat after that. Yeah.
And nobody's done that to him in any fight ever.
No.
Except Dustin Poirier and everybody else. I mean, Dustin, if you go back and look at his fight against Gaethje, that was World War III.
Yeah.
I mean, both those guys, they almost killed each other, and
Yeah.
Dustin came out on top in that one.
And Dustin did that as well in the Dan Hooker fight.
Hooker?
I mean,
he owned Dan Hooker, really. I mean,
Dustin can take punches. I wish he didn't take so many shots. I went back and watched the Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier fight, and it's like watching a completely different person. Like, that is not the Dustin Poirier of today.
No.
I have said this over and over and over again, and I will reiterate it. Poirier in 4th. I think he gets it done in the 4th round. I think, obviously, Conor comes out swinging. He's throwing the leg kicks. I think Dustin adjusted that well. Conor is good for the first 3 rounds, and then we've witnessed it before.
he gasses out. That's always been his weakness.
Yes.
I mean, he the first Nate Diaz fight.
Yeah.
He kind of gassed out.
Yeah, and he gassed out in the Khabib fight, too, after throwing some heavy shots and really landing on Khabib, too. I was impressed with that. But I think it either ends Poirier in 4. I'm going to say similar to the Khabib situation. I think he chokes him out. I think Dustin finally gets the guillotine that he's always wanted, and he gets it done on Conor McGregor. And here's another question.
And Conor taps.
And Conor taps, yeah. Now, here's the other question. Do you think that this fight deserves to be for the title?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Someone agrees with me.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I think guys need to be active. Dustin's active.
Right.
But, they not Conor.
Yeah. With a Dustin win, do you set up Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira for the title?
Yeah, I would then. Yeah.
And if Conor wins, then you, of course.
If Conor wins, then he's earned a shot.
Yeah. But then, do you think Khabib comes back?
That's a guy like his lifestyle and the way he grew up and everything is just so different than what we know in the United. Like, we don't know what motivates him. We may never see that guy again.
Right.
I hope we see him again.
I do too.
But
I do too.
We might not.
I think that he goes 30-0 against Conor if Conor wins. I think. But there's so many questions and so many. We could break down the lightweight division, which in my opinion is the best division right now in the UFC. We could break that down in another episode. But so your prediction is Poirier?
Poirier.
Method of finish?
I think a guillotine. That's what Conor kind of gives up.
Yeah.
He kind of gives up his neck.
Yeah.
And people get his back a lot. So I think Conor's Conor. He's super entertaining. He's fun to watch. He can crack. But he's not the old Conor McGregor,
right?
And this isn't the old Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great way to look at it. MMA is about growing and evolving and moving up. And when you have so much downtime and you're kind of out of the spotlight for a little
and
bit.
Based on Conor's last fight, like, we really kind of don't know what we have a little bit.
Crazy.
Like what he did to Donald Cerrone. Like, he's not going to do that to Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I just hope and pray that it doesn't become a yearly thing with Conor. He comes in once a year, fights, and leaves. Like, obviously, the pandemic, they lost on pay-per-view gate and everything like that. I get it. Or live gate, I should say.
Yeah.
But we need a more active Conor McGregor to really see and gauge how he's going to do against Dustin. So I'm going to take the more active fighter in the sense that Dustin has been more active. He's been in more wars. He showed that he's dominant. And I think submission finish from Dustin Poirier is definitely going to happen. So awesome.
We agree on that one for sure.
Yeah, we agree on that one. Yep. But the Holloway and Cater, that's going to be interesting too. But I got New England on my side. I think Cater's going to take it.
Okay.
We'll talk about that when it gets closer. Yeah. Thank you so much for checking out another new episode of the Art of Combat podcast. Rodwell, I know it was last minute, but thank you so much, man.
Did the best I could.
Yeah, you did great. We'll hopefully do this again. And make sure that you find us on social media at Art of Combat Pod. Have a great day.